What is up, lucky viewers? Welcome back to another YouTube video starring your favorite host, Just My Luck. Today, we've got a very special topic that I want to talk about. Sparking Zero, Dragon Ball, as you already know, has come out officially, and since the game has been out and people are playing it, I got the Ultimate Edition. I've been playing it ever since the 7th, if I am correct about that. I think it was like 7 at 5 p.m., something like that. So, as you can see, I already have 110 hours in the game, and I even streamed for a total of almost 7 days straight on the game once the game dropped. Now, I feel like with the review of IGN coming out of giving the game a 7, I think I'm one of the better people to put in their hat for a review for this game. Especially for someone like me who was really into Dragon Ball. I've been watching it ever since I was growing up. As you can see, I have figurines on my desk, ready to go, of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Frieza. And so I think I have a pretty good foot in the door when it comes to talking about Dragon Ball or even fighting games in general. I'm also a huge player of fighting games, as you can see here on my favorites. I've got Dragon Ball FighterZ 195 hours. I've got Guilty Gear Strive with almost 80 hours. I've got Skullgirls Second Encore with only 8 hours because I mostly play this with friends here and there. But needless to say, your only move is hustle. Like, I like fighting games, especially Dragon Ball fighting games. Dragon Ball FighterZ was the first fighting game I got on my PC, not the first fighting game I ever played, but needless to say, that's a story for a different time. But with 110 hours, my rating for the game, especially as a huge fan of Dragon Ball, like I said, would have to be a 9 out of 10. I don't think this is a 10 out of 10 game. The only reason I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 game is because when I look at a 10 out of 10 game, I think of a lot of factors like accessibility for new players. I think of how casuals can play the game. I think of the competitiveness of the game. I think of the longevity of the game. I think of the broad scope of the game when it comes to the audience that it's playing towards. So for a fighting game meant for people who like fighters, and to narrow down the audience even more, people who like Dragon Ball fighting games, I think for fighting games, specifically ones that cater towards people who like fighting games a lot, and people, to narrow down the crowd even more, like Dragon Ball, just because this caters towards just Dragon Ball fans. I think in that limited aspect, like if we just look at this one audience, I think it's a 10 out of 10 fighting game. However, if we look at the whole thing, as you know, some of my points here, one, people coming into the game, like brand new people. Growing up, I don't own it anymore, on my PS2, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And I remember playing that. On my 360, I had Raging Blasts 1 and 2. Now, the second one wasn't that good, but the first one I really enjoyed. I've been keeping up with the Tenkaichi-esque fighting games for a while. I didn't play the original Budokais. I didn't play Budokai Tenkaichi 1 or 2. I wasn't around back then, but my uncle played it. He loved them. And that's how I ended up getting into Dragon Ball, was Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and get my ass kicked by my uncle. For new players, from what I remember, because it's been forever since I played Raging Blast, from what I remember, Raging Blast was a very technical fighting game when it came to timing, inputs, but like using supers and stuff were really easy. But when it came to defensive options, it was very, very technical. I think the same goes for Sparking Zero. It's a very technical game when it comes to fighting on defense rather than just on offense, because on offense I feel like it's a little button mashy, which is okay for the more casual players. That being said, though, for the person who's never played a fighting game before, would I suggest this be their first fighting game? Maybe if they stuck with the story and not picking it up to be competitive for the first time, only because the story is really good. It takes you through you play through, as long as you play through Goku. You play Goku's story first. It takes you through the whole thing of Dragon Ball. It does skip over a lot of the filler. It skips over a lot of like the explanation of what's going on. It just gets straight to the fights and whatnot, which I love. But for someone who's never seen Dragon Ball or doesn't know what's going on, they won't know what the story's happening, like what's going on with the story or what the fuck's happening. Besides the very, very fine details that it gives you here and there. That being said, though, the game does, as the story progresses, get harder as you go on, and the AI gets turned up more and more. So as long as casual players stick to just the episode battles and just playing the stories, I think it's a pretty good game for casual players to pick up, play a couple matches of episode battles, and then dip out. And there's also a new feature that's been added into the game that I haven't really totally experimented with a lot, which is the custom battles, where you can create your own scenarios and your own what ifs and whatnot. I do think that also caters towards the more casual players who would like to make their own custom battles, but it caters more towards the people who are fans of Dragon Ball rather than people who've never seen Dragon Ball. So I feel like for a first-time fighting game, there's a lot that casual players can do, fans can do, competitive people can do, and participate in the game completely. But I would not suggest this being the first fighting game you ever pick up, just because when the game is fast, for sure. Another one of my points that I pointed out was the longevity of the game and the overall broadness of the audience that the game's trying to reach. I think the Helldivers devs said it great at one point. If you know what I'm about to say, you already know what I'm going to say. A game for everybody is not a good game. If I'm saying that correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you probably flame me in the comments, but it's whatever. A game for everybody doesn't survive. So for this to be focused on just Dragon Ball fans, I feel like the fans are going to keep this game alive for a really long time. This will be a game that I jump on personally here and there to play, just to brush up, to enjoy a little bit, and even to challenge my friends in like a game of Super Smash Brothers or something like that. That's how I'll treat this game. It's like Super Smash Brothers, where it's a game that I have to play to just blow off some steam, enjoy it a little bit. That being said, I also, on my live streams, did play the competitive side. Now, the competitive side is you have two different things that you can play. You can either play single battles, which is 1v1s, or you can do DP battles, which is team-based, where you can swap out characters, but you're limited to the number of destruction points, which is what DP is. And every character has a number of destruction points that you can put, for a total of 15 on your team, up to 5 slots. Singles, I think, are a lot more friendly when it comes to a competitive player like me. It reminds me a lot more of like a traditional fighting game, like Dragon Ball FighterZ or Guilty Gear Strive or Skullgirls Second Encore, where it feels a little bit more like, okay, this is the character that they're playing, I just need to beat this character, and then that's it. Or, you know, in the other games that I listed, you know, this is their set team, everyone has kind of the same like the same like base kit, like bread and butter combos, so I kind of know what to expect, but there's going to be some like character differences, of course, to vary. When it comes, so that's singles, that's what singles reminds me of. When it comes to DP battles are, let's just say, interesting, to say the least. So for DP battles, a lot of people, especially in the higher ranks, they do tend to play more like mainstream characters, like Gogeta and Goku UI and Vegito and Broly and Jiren. But when you're climbing through like DC B rank, you're gonna run into a lot of cheese. A lot of cheese. I've made a TikTok about this. Yajirobe. Yajirobe is a character that is only worth 2 destruction points when you put him on the team. And he has the ability to, in the match, eat what is known as a senzu bean in Dragon Ball. And in the lore, when you eat a senzu bean, you fully recover all your damage, your stamina gets replenished, you're ready to go back into the fight instantaneously. What I was not expecting was them to give Yajirobe senzu beans. And they did. You know, you wouldn't expect what would happen in the game to be exactly what happens in the show or the manga, where it just fully heals. Yeah, Bandai Namco didn't give a shit. And they gave Yajirobe senzu beans that fully heal him. So a lot of people, especially in the mid to lower ranks, will run Yajirobe just to be annoying and run out the clock. Because how the game works is you have, I think it's 400 seconds, which is approximately 6 minutes or something like that. You have approximately 6 minutes to defeat the other team until time's up. So a lot of people in the mid to lower rank, well, what they'll do is they'll play 5 characters and run out the clock. Because how the game decides who wins a tiebreaker, if both teams are alive, after the clock runs out, is who has the most health bars, together. So that includes extra characters that have never even seen the field. That includes characters on the field right now. But it doesn't include characters that have been defeated, of course. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take Yajirobe, they'll take Krillin, they'll take Master Roshi, they'll take a lot of these really cheesy characters just to take up all 5 slots so that they can run out the clock. And then when they run out the clock, they win. Not because they're better than you, not because they beat you. In some cases, it's true. I've seen some really crazy Yajirobes. I've seen some really crazy Pans. I've seen even crazy Hercules. Not gonna lie. But at the same time, it feels like I get punished for being good, but not good enough to get around someone cheesing the game. And it feels like they're cheating, even though they're not. It's part of the game. And I get that. And a lot of people will say skill issue, da-da-da-da. But why is it that I can knock out 2 of your characters and knock out 3 of your characters and you knock out 2 of mine? And I have 1 character and you have 2 left because you have a roster of 5. Why is it that when I knock out more characters than you've knocked out, I lose? When essentially I'm better because I've knocked out more characters than you. I've eaten through more of those health bars. So the game feels really catering towards cheese when it comes to DP battles online in competitive mode. And that for me just sucked the fun right out of the game. And that's why I swapped over to singles. The problem with singles though is that you can play any character. It's 1v1s. The only problem I have with singles is that everyone plays the same 3 characters. You're either going to play a MUI Goku, a SS4 Gogeta, or Jiren. And varying characters in between, but 9 times out of 10, those are going to be the 3 characters that you're going to run into. And the game just felt really stale at that point, because alright, I'm gonna fight this character again for the 200th time. So the competitiveness of the game can be fun, but it can also be really abused, especially with the characters that they have available in competitive. I'm not calling for any nerfs or anything, because, that's Budokai Tenkaichi. What I will say is maybe that some of the characters shouldn't be allowed in competitive, but then again, everyone's gonna flame me in the comments that it's a skill issue. So, take what you can get, but for someone who's played this game for, as you can see, 110 hours and for almost 7 days straight, Which, if you don't believe me, go check out my Twitch. It's all there. It's on VOD. The game just gets really frustrating and not fun when I don't feel rewarded for being better. And I fought through the cheese. I got up to a high rank on DP. I think I got up to A2, almost S rank. In singles, I did the same thing. I got to like A3, A2, almost S rank. Like I was on top of the leaderboards. I broke top 100 a few times. The game just felt frustrating at some points, not all the time. Sometimes I'd fight some people that would be like, man, that was a good fight. Like, man, I love that fight so much. I want to fight that person again. And then other times it's just like, why am I playing this game? You know? And I hate that because I love this game so much. And I spent $100 on this game. I bought the Ultimate Edition. Granted, I'm still gonna, like I said, I'm still gonna play the game. I'm still gonna play the DLC when it comes out. But I don't see myself playing competitively for this game, even though I really want to. Just because of the cheese. Just because the game just feels really stale at high ranks. And that for me just isn't fun. Unlike in Dragon Ball FighterZ or Guilty Gear in high ranks, yeah, you're not fighting the same character all the time. You're not fighting the same character all the time. And anytime you fight someone who's playing a character that you fought before, their playstyles are always different. But when it comes to Dragon Ball sparkingzero, when you're at higher ranks, most people play the same stuff. The combos feel the same, and they get exhausting, and they get predictable. And that just gets really stale. So it is a 9 out of 10 game just because of the gameplay, the feel, the nostalgia effect. I have to give, like, it's nostalgic. It is. And just the overall quality of the game as a fighting game is good. The online felt really good. I hardly ever ran into lag. I hardly ever ran into people disconnecting. It's really good online connection, but the people online just aren't good. Not in the sense of that they're bad at the game, they're just not good. The best way to put it. They're not good. They're very toxic people. There's no text chat, there's no voice chat, there's just, you feel the toxicity in the fighting. And it's not fun, man. It's not fun competitively. It's fun in all other aspects. I feel like the story's really good. I love the what ifs. I love the custom battles. I think that's cool. I haven't tried it, but I love the idea that I can go and create my battles, you know? But for me, I don't think I'm going to play it competitively as much as I want to. I think the game will survive. I don't think it will thrive. I think it will slowly die out, but it will never die. Because I think people will start to treat it like I do already, and treat it like Super Smash Brothers with your friends, you know? Like, oh, hey, you want to jump on some sparkingzero, throw some hands? Like, yeah, sure, let's go, you know? And then they play a couple, and then that's it. And then it'll stay there for a week or two until, you know, friends come back over and they're like, hey, you want to play some sparkingzero, you know? So I think that's the only time I'll ever play the game like seriously, is if I'm trying to do episode battles or I'm playing with friends. I've gotten my fill of competitive. I don't like where it's going, especially if they're not going to balance or change anything. That's fine, but for me, I like a game that feels like it's going to evolve over time, not stay the same. So yeah, that's my thoughts on sparkingzero. For someone, just to recap, my thoughts on sparkingzero. I think it's a 9 out of 10 game overall for people who love fighting games and love Dragon Ball. I think it's a 10 out of 10 game, especially if you played the Budokai Tenkaichi games. But That being said, I don't see myself playing this competitively as much as I want to. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about the game down in the comments. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, you want to know what to do, smash that follow button so you don't miss out any of our future streams. Have a good rest of the night. And like I always say, stay lucky, friends. Peace. Out of here.